You guys, Brent Reid, Dave Riccio, have just come from the press conference at the West Tigers featuring Benji Marshall, coach, co-captain Jerome Luai and senior player Appy Coruscant. What are your takeaways from it?
You go, Reedy.
I thought Benji handled himself really well. I thought he handled the situation really well. It was obviously a difficult one for him because he's almost in the firing line because obviously he confirmed that Lockie Galvin raised issues over his coaching. So I thought Benji was outstanding. Jerome and Appy, if I was playing poker against them, I'd have a field day because they ain't got poker faces. Because you could see that both those blokes weren't happy with the situation, weren't happy with Lachlan. I think's the easy takeaway from it. I don't know whether you blokes agree with me.
Yeah,
that's the way it looked to me.
Yeah, I see it's similar. I thought Benji handled it really well. To Reedy's point, I mean, this is the guy that has been fingered for the reason of why Lachlan Galvin is leaving the club or wants to leave the club. And I now, in hindsight, I wonder how much work was done with Jerome and Appy in talking to them about what you might say here, guys, and what you might not say, and whether they were the right fit. I would think Jerome Luai, given his senior role within the club, and his influence in this story, was the right fit. I don't know about Appy. He seemed to duck and dive a lot of the questions.
Did you think Jerome was very terse in his responses? They asked about the relationship with Lockie Galvin. He said, it's been really good up until now. And he asked him about, was there a place in first grade for him for a recall? If his heart's in the right place, if he's in the right mindset, we'll welcome him back with open arms.
Yeah, I'm not sure the arms are going to be that wide open, judging by what was said. I agree with the boys' summation. I thought Benji was handled it pretty well, and you can see the frustration that I think Jerome and Appy experienced this week. There's a few factors. One, they hadn't spoken to Lockie. I found that pretty interesting from senior players. The fact that Jerome openly said, "Well, you disrespect the coach, you disrespect the club, and you disrespect us." Yeah. I thought Jerome in particular was pretty forthright in his opinion on the situation. I'm just not sure it's salvageable now for Lockie to come back.
I like that about Jerome. I mean, you know better than anyone. You always know where you stand with Jerome.
He gave you a little cursory mention, did he, today? Did he say something about social media? Did he mention something about posts? I think there might have been something.
But you know where you stand with Jerome Luai. Like, Appy was a bit guard. Like, Appy when you ask him something he doesn't necessarily like, he puts the guard up straight away, and he's really short and can be a bit terse. Jerome's not like Jerome. I reckon you always know where you stand with Jerome, and I love that about him. Like, I think that's one of his best, not one of his best qualities, because he's a great footballer. But I like that when you interview Jerome, like, he doesn't duck and dive and dodge. He's forthright. He's up front. You know where you stand with Jerome, and I think Lachlan Galvin now knows where he stands with Jerome.
I still think there's a few questions that need to be answered. I think they were open, which we all were quite surprised by, that the fact that the leadership group haven't spoken to Lachlan Galvin. I would like to know when and if they plan to. And second to that, Benji didn't really answer why he's been relegated to the New South Wales Cup. He answered only that it's due to a number of factors, and as the head coach, I make decisions that are in the best interests of this club, and for this point in time, it's in the New South Wales Cup. And I just didn't...
And I don't have to explain it to you.
I don't have to explain it to you.
I think it's pretty... For me, the reason he's been dropped is pretty obvious, right? I mean, he's come out and as Jerome sort of enunciated it. It's because to them, he's disrespected the club and the jersey and the coach. And also, I reckon Benji's done him a favour, because if he'd run out on Sunday... in front of those fans, he would have copped.
No, I've got no problem with that.
Absolute shellacking.
I've got no problem with that. You're spot on, but there's still no. It's punishment, right? It's punishment for deciding that you don't want to be at the club anymore.
Yeah,
and he's still playing in the West jersey.
I reckon he'll be back next week, Dave.
How does the reception change, Reedy?
I think it takes the sting out of it. A week later, it takes the sting out of it. I reckon he'll be back sooner than we think.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, I might take the sting out of it, but there's still going to be...
It's still going to be hostile,
They'll
still be hostile.
Yeah.
They're going to be upset for the rest of the year. you saw Lockie Galvin at training today, going through the paces with his teammates. What were your thoughts on that? What were the interactions like?
If you walked into Concord Oval for the first time and had never watched the West Tigers play, you would think Lachlan Galvin is playing this weekend. That was his attitude. He was smiling. He was involved in every drill. He was competing on every last play. As far as defence, some defensive plays that they were running, he was involved. Up until the point it switched to an opposed session where he was in the reserve grade team, and that was against first grade, and he did his best in the reserve grade.
I would say I didn't see a lot of interaction between him and Jerome. I didn't see a lot of interaction between him and Benji. Now, Benji was
focused on the first grade team.
On the first grade team, right? And he was. Benji often gets into training and plays for the opposition team. Yep. But he did none of that today. He was out there directing everything the whole time.
Doesn't need to if Galvin's on the
no,
other
he
side.
doesn't. Galvin's on the other side. But there wasn't a lot of it. Like for me, that was the noticeable thing. Like Galvin looked good and he looked upbeat and he didn't look. He wasn't hiding, right? But the one thing that was really noticeable was there was no interaction between Benji, Lockie, Jerome.
Yeah. I'm prepared to put that down to the position of which it is, and Benji's got to focus on the first grade team.
I've got to say he was the first one out and the last one off the training track today.
Lachlan Galvin was the last player off the training field. He was doing kicking drills right until the death, and was talking to assistant coach John Morris on the field while everyone else had started to make their way off the field with Jerome and Sunita Ruva and the others taking selfies and autographs with the fans.
Right. I want to get your thoughts on the question that was put to Benji Marshall about Lachlan Galvin rejecting the offer or saying they didn't want to be there anymore, and basically alluding to the fact that he wanted to progress his career elsewhere under a different coach. And Benji said, I was shocked and a little disappointed. And then he made the point that he said, everyone thinks I can't coach anyway. I thought that was stunning that he's verbalised some talk that's been going on in the background about a guy that's had 18 months of first grade coaching. I mean, he has been thrown in the cauldron, right?
Well, there's been doubts over Benji since he started.
Well, he's never coached before, so
But I think
he's a realist.
I think that's also Benji taking the mickey.
I think
and sort of circling the wagons a bit and going, well, you blokes don't think I can coach anyway.
So how are you different to him?
Yeah.
I think a little bit. I didn't mind it.
I think he was having fun with it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. Benji does like to carry a chip a little bit, you know, and that's part of it.
Did you think he was using it to take the sting out of the words and that, you de-weaponise them in a way?
No, I reckon it was just a bit of a throwaway line from Benji.
Oh, good, thanks.
He was just having a bit of fun,
Yeah.
I think he was just having.
What did you think of it, Adam?
Yeah,
I thought it was stunning that he would legitimise that, and like you said, we've all talked about it, that Cameron Serrato's done a 15-year apprenticeship. Andrew Webster's been an assistant coach. This is the path you treated, and when they hired Benji into this role with zero experience, it was a big gamble, and something's gone awry that it's going to cost them Lockie Galvin. Well, not that itself, but it's played a big part in it, right?
Set the bar low and then surprise everyone with the results.
That's what I do every editorial meeting.
You can get your first month of Code Sports for only $1. T's and C's apply.